Now, to understand this statement and what it means in the global context, we are now being joined by Bank of Baroda's Chief Economist, Madan Sabnavis. Sir, thanks so much for joining us on WION World is One.
Thank you.
My first question, how feasible is the idea of the rupee as a currency for global trade?
Yeah, as of now, I think it's a thought, and it's a very valid thought that we need to make the rupee international. I think this is something which was spoken of even maybe around 10 years back by the RBI, that we need to internationalize the currency. But I think the important part here is that it needs to be accepted. See, one thing is that we would like the rupee to be used for settling international transactions. The second thing is that whether other countries are willing to use the rupee in order to settle trade among themselves. Like, for example, can we actually think of, say, Egypt and Sudan deciding that we will do trade with each other and we will settle in the form of by using the rupee? I think that's where the crux is. So I think the first step which we had taken was during the Ukraine war, where there was a case of trying to do certain settlements on our imports through rupees. That was one way of getting countries to accept rupees. But I think things have gotten diluted since then. So I think a lot of effort will be put in, but definitely I think this is a thought worth pursuing.
Right. Mr. Sabnavis, what are the challenges that India can face in what is known as the internationalization of the rupee?
See, the biggest challenge which we have is one of acceptability. That's number one. Today, everybody accepts the dollar, and as you had mentioned, 60% of foreign exchange transactions are in dollar, another 20% in the euro, and then we have the pound Indian having 5% each, followed by the yuan. So the second is that the moment you become an international currency, but you should remember that there should be a lot of rupees which have to be provided to the rest of the world. And that could lead to a bit of instability. Now, let me try and explain this particular thing. When the dollar becomes the anchor currency, we have an ironical situation where the US has to run large amount of deficits so that bonds are issued. And that is how countries are able to invest in the dollar. Now, are we willing to do such a thing? That's a big thing, that you will have to continue running high levels of deficits so that there are more bonds made available which other countries subscribe to. And that's how your rupees are made available to the rest of the world. So that is the second challenge, a possibility of instability which could take place for a country like India. I think the US is very well established. So even though they have very high debt levels of over 100% of GDP, nobody really minds it because it's an anchor currency. But the moment you become an anchor currency, you would necessarily have to also look at what the other countries feel or what the other countries expect from you. And that will be something which could come in the way of domestic monetary policy as well as exchange rate management.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much for all your insights and thanks for joining us on WION at this hour. WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.